Pesticides are biological or chemical agents that are used to control or kill pests that can cause damage to human health, crops, and livestock. Many different studies have examined how pesticides negatively affect water quality, soil health, and non-target species. Researchers are also trying to explore the potential health threats of pesticide exposure to wildlife.
Pesticides and the unintended effects on individuals. Chickens digest pesticides, which disrupts their endocrine system. This leads to eggshell thinning, reproductive failure, and finally, population declines. Another example is the Laurentine Great Lakes bird species, which are facing similar problems with DDT and causing eggshell thinning, which decreases the population size as well. Lastly, neurotoxicity alters bee behavior, which alters their pollinating patterns. This changes the plant diversity in the area. This leads to a loss of biodiversity and disrupts the entire ecosystem.
So, as we can see in the table below, there are many populations being affected by these pesticides. This includes things like birds, fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, invertebrates, which includes things like insects, and some plants and fungi. Now, if we look at figure 2 from our reading, we notice that the most notable effect out of all of them is neurotoxicity. This is when the animal's behavior changes, causing the death rate to heighten. We notice this in almost every single one of these population groups given.
A community is a group of individuals who interact with one another, often living in a relative area. An ecosystem is a community of living organisms in a specific environment. Ecosystems also include surrounding vegetation, climate, and location. One effect of pesticides is reduced biodiversity. Pesticides can harm non-target species like pollinating insects, disrupting the food web and ecosystem balance. A specific example from the aquatic system is the disruption of sea vegetation and plankton. The pesticides harming the plankton and sea vegetation is affecting the water birds and including tadpoles and all predators that eat these organisms.
Effects of global change on pesticide consequences. Positives are climate change, different nutrient supply. Negatives are the precipitation and climate change and warming. On my next slide, I have a diagram that models the positives and negatives of global change. With climate variability, it allows organisms to learn to eat other things and simply adapt over time, which allows them to be able to go into other environments and survive. The negatives of precipitation and overall global warming allows pesticides to go into the runoff and into oceans and overall spread around more and contact other animals. The two most important pesticide disruptions are endorsins, which is overall function of an organism, more specifically sexually, so then they are not generating as much offspring and the biodiversity will overall decrease, and then acute poisoning, which is overall just killing off organisms in a population.
Types of research that can help manage the effects of pesticides are laboratory studies, mesocolumn studies, and field studies. Laboratory studies are able to block out specific effects of pesticides in a controlled setting. Mesocolumn studies create a stimulation of live ecosystems, which can be useful in observing interactions, and field studies assess real-world impacts in a natural environment. Microevolution refers to small, gradual changes in a population over time, like, for instance, changes in bacteria and cell populations. Two ways microevolution can catch up are through generating rapidly in a short period of time and selective resistance phenotypes, which can allow populations with high reproductive outputs to evolve rapidly within the short time frame. Thus, in conclusion, microevolution can catch up.